Hello, I'm Alexthehunted. You know, I kind of think that every major hero needs an arch nemesis. I mean, Batman has the Joker, Sherlock has his Moriarty, and the Doctor has the Master. Me, well, I have the guy who delivers my post and, well, never rings the doorbell, so I always have to go down to the post office to collect it, especially when it's stuff from Amazon. But anyway, today we are looking at the first movie that contained Godzilla's arch nemesis. That's right, it's Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. And he is so evil, it's not Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, it's just Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. He's so evil, he steals the entire title for himself. So let's take a look at Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Our movie begins at night, where we see a group of scientists and a news reporter gathering at the top of a roof looking out to the night sky, because apparently they got a message that some aliens were about to make contact with them on this night. Does this really have anything to do with the plot of the movie? Do the aliens make contact with these guys? Nope. In fact, after this, it's never really brought up again in the entire movie. But we do meet one of our main characters, this lady, and I, well, kind of right off the bat, don't like her.
The brainwaves of your cynical thoughts have gone up there to those ships.
Did you say brainwaves?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, really? There's no such thing as brainwaves.
Yes, aliens from outer space could be real, but brainwaves, which are scientifically proven to be real and is how the brain works and communicates with the entire body, that's just ridiculous. There is no such thing. Anyway, as they're looking out into the sky, they soon see some shooting stars fly past that then crash into the mountains. We also cut to the police station at night, where we meet our other two main characters, Detective Shinjo and the Chief, played by Akira Hariyata. He was Dr. Shirazawa in the first ever Godzilla movie, and I always like to see returning actors in these movies. Anyway, Shindo is told by the chief that a princess is coming from a distant kingdom to hide in Japan because she is due to succeed her father and there is a plot to assassinate her. We then cut to the plane our princess is on, and another little fun fact, the woman playing the princess will later go on to be a Bond girl in You Only Live Twice. We then cut to a castle where we see the main assassin guy out to kill the princess is told by his employer to plant a bomb on the plane and blow it up.
Did you see the princess safely aboard the plane?
Yes, Excellency.
And the bomb?
All set, sir.
Now we must go back to our rehearsals of Hamlet. Anyway, our princess is looking out the plane window when a bright light starts flashing and speaking to her, telling her to jump out of the plane. I'm guessing the assassins didn't really have to bother blowing up the plane. Oh well, never mind. The next day, a group of geologists arrive in the area where the shooting star landed to check it out. As they start hiking, all their compasses start pointing in separate directions the closer they get to it. And this is where we get to the best part of this movie, the build-up. As a Godzilla fan, we all know what's inside that meteorite, but for a person who is seeing this movie for the first time, they have no idea. And the great music cue to the first sight of this meteorite is one of my favourite tracks in all of the Godzilla films. It's so mystical and foreboding at the same time.
Hey, Professor! There it is!
As they get close to the meteor, everything that's made out of metal gets pulled towards it, like it's some kind of giant electromagnetic force building inside of it. Back with the police, they hear about the plane blowing up and are all sulking about how they failed to protect her before she even got there.
Sad, pretty girl like that murdered for political reasons.
Yeah, because it's only a shame when a pretty girl gets murdered for political reasons. Anyway, our annoying news reporter lady is sent off to see this prophesist that has just shown up out of nowhere, and it's where we find out that this is actually the princess from earlier. How did she survive jumping out of the plane at high altitude? Never really explained. The best explanation we kind of get is about pockets, dimensions and stuff like that, but I'm basically just going for a wizard did it. Anyway, she's warning Japan about the coming disaster and that they should all flee, and like most people holding up signs that say the world is about to end, no one believes her and they start to heckle her.
Are you a boy or a girl? Why don't you do striptease for us?
Japan! Anyway, our princess keeps on pleading with the crowd about the destruction that is coming, but no one listens to her. And they keep on mocking her, as she wonders why no one is listening to her. Most likely because they're in Tokyo, and like most big cities, there's about 20 people screaming that the world's about to end. When news reporter lady comes to ask questions, we find out that the princess is actually now from Mars. And not from the John Carpenter universe, sadly. She also says that this massive destruction will begin at Mount Iko. Which is where we head to as we see a scientist, and you know he is a scientist because he is wearing a white lab coat, tells a crowd of people that somehow found about this news when we literally just cut to it. It's literally the movie goes from the woman saying that there's going to be some disaster at the mountain, cutting to the mountain where the scientist is saying that there's going to be no such thing. There's going to be no accident or anything like that at this mountain, and being a man of science, they shouldn't just believe this mad ramblings from a woman who's claiming she's from Mars. And I like this character because he's actually speaking sense. After some more time with the meteorite doing some weird things, we see that the news lady and the detective guy are brother and sister as they watch TV. And the program they're watching is one of those programs where they get basically kids onto the stage and say, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a celebrity? What do you want to do? And all that sort of stuff. So who do these kids want to see?
Now listen, son.
Tell us, who would you like to see again? Who is your favorite performer?
Mothra.
Mothra?
We love how last time she came she nearly destroyed half of Japan. We want to see her do it again. Sad that the show can't bring Mothra to the boys, but they can bring the Mothra's twin fairies to have a little sing-song. And how the hell did they do that? I mean, the Mothra twins are on a remote island where they worship Mothra. They have no phone system or any other way of communicating with other people. And let's not forget that these fairies are the Earth's guardians and also look after Mothra to making sure that she doesn't go on, you know, some kind of massive berserk rampage when the two fairies go missing. I'm just wondering now how the twin fairies told Mothra that they're just going away to go on some show. Okay, Mothra, we're going to go to Japan to sing on some show. We'll be gone for a few days. Just don't go all mad when we're not here, and make sure nothing goes wrong like some kind of giant three-headed space dragon attacking or something. I think it would go something like that. Oh, God, I've been talking this whole time and the song is still going. After a very long song, we cut back to the detective who talks about the princess and why she might be acting so weird, and we get this really stupid line.
The princess wears the royal bracelet at all times.
Well, suppose she took it off for some reason. To avoid her assassins, maybe. Yeah, sure. And that's why she's pretending to be a Martian.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because when you want to hide from assassins, what you want to do is shout that you're a Martian to a huge crowd of people and get so much attention that you appear in the news, so that you hide from your assassins. Back with the Shakespeare people, they find out about the princess surviving through the news report. It must have been a really slow news day. Anyway, it really puts into context the stupidity of that one line that I just showed. When the very next scene, the bad guys find out that she's alive and they go to Japan and they know exactly where she is. We then go back to the volcano where the princess from Mars starts warning the people to get out of there because the monster Rodan is sleeping in the rubble. Just then, some guy loses his hat and goes down to get it. However, as the princess from space warns him, the ground starts to shake and give way. And slowly we see that it is Rodan, with some really big and goofy eyes. As Rodan digs his way out of the mountain, the public make a Benny Hill style escape and speeding up the footage so they can get out of there quicker. This happens quite a bit in this movie. Anyway, as Rodan starts to fly away, he makes a Godzilla roar. Weird. Just as Rodan starts destroying stuff, we cut to a ship where the Mothra twins are saying their goodbyes. When the Princess of Mars comes aboard saying that the ship will sink and people on it should not be on here. Apparently news reporters think a screaming crazy lady is more interesting than some tiny mystical fairies, and they all go crowding around her to basically listen to her ramblings. But then the news reporter lady takes the princess to her hotel, so at least they know where she is. However, as they get to the hotel, the assassins are also there, and they're not the only ones who followed the alien and the mild-mannered reporter. The Mothra twins are also there, saying that they knew what the Mars royalty was saying. And now it's too late for them to save the ship. Okay, that's a bit of a dick move, Mothra twins not saving people, but okay. As we cut to the ship sailing off, we see some dolphins or whales or something like that trying to swim away and escape from something. And soon we see, rising from the sea, the king has returned. Godzilla is back, and he must have been hunting what those whale dolphin things were. But he has his new prey, this ship, which he soon blows up. Anyway, we cut away from that as the assassins sort of walk in and start questioning the princess to make sure that she really is the princess. The Mothra fairies watch and able to help. However, when the detective comes to collect the princess from his sister, she has to be a bit of a dick and try to stop him because her story is more important. I think this might be a problem with the dub script because this kind of happened with a lot of the 60s Godzilla movies when they got dubbed, was when they had to basically fill the gap between the English speaking and what the Japanese mouth movements. They had to have to stretch like some of the sentences across so that they would fit, so that the mouths actually had something to say when they were moving, stuff like that. So sometimes scripts can basically make these characters look like idiots, and this one comes off the worst, especially the news reporter lady. Anyway, just as the assassins are about to kill the princess, the detective comes in and stops them. With a little help from the fairies, they save the princess. Back with Godzilla, he's made land and begins to have some fun with the city. However, he starts to hear the sound of Rodan flying, and this makes him mad, and he chases after Rodan to go tell him to shut up. Actually, I do kind of like this scene because it kind of sets up that Godzilla and Rodan might have had some kind of past that wasn't ever shown in some movies. The fact that Godzilla kind of recognises that sound instantly and then basically drops everything and goes after Rodan kind of points out that these two might have had some history. Back with the meteor, things start getting crazy as it starts glowing bright and starts sucking in rocks and anything made out of metal, creating some very strong winds, and all of a sudden sparks start flying out of the meteor, and the meteor cracks open, and it just gets worse and worse and worse until it breaks completely open, and in a ball of flames we see what was inside the whole time.
What is it? It's taking some kind of form.
And this is the first time we ever see King Ghidorah, and it's a pretty awesome intro. But then just as King Ghidorah is revealed, we cut away from him for some reason and head back to the princess as she has now been put in some hospital. Oh, and you know those geologists that were after the meteorite at the start of the movie? Yeah, we never see them again after the King Ghidorah reveal scene. I'm guessing they must have died or something. But yeah, we see that the Martian princess undertakes some kind of test and all of a sudden jolts up and tells us about the horror that has just awoken. Basically, King Ghidorah goes from planet to planet destroying all life and leaving it just a lifeless rock. And then moves on to his next target, which was Earth. So basically, King Ghidorah is the kaiju version of Galactus. And that destruction is coming right now. As the people are warned that King Ghidorah is coming, they soon start to run and make their evacuation. And what makes this scene so good is while everyone is running and screaming in terror, you hear King Ghidorah's flying sounds are just getting closer and closer and closer. Like doom is on its way. The only problem is it's kind of ruined by the Benny Hill running. I couldn't help myself. So just as the King Ghidorah destruction is about to start, we cut away back to the princess and the others. Okay, sure, why not? But it's because Godzilla and Rodan are getting close to the area, and we soon see the two as Rodan sideswipes Godzilla, which just gets Godzilla mad, and the two get ready to fight. Only for us to cut away to the humans. What, was this movie directed by Geffen Edwards or something? I mean, a few times now we've seen some monsters just appear and then all of a sudden we cut away back to the human characters. And this time we're cutting to the government as they talk about how the ways to deal with all the monster crisis and what their plan is. I mean, sure, yeah, we want to see scenes like that, but we also want to see the monster action too. Why do you have to keep on cutting away from it?
The Ministry of Home Defense is maintaining a very close watch on the movements of these monsters, both Godzilla and Rodan. As for this new one, Ghidorah, we are working on a new technical approach to this problem.
Or in other words, we're fucked. See, this is one of the few Godzilla movies where the military don't get involved in any way. We never see a single jet or tank attack any of the monsters. We never actually see a tank or a jet. And as for that new technical approach, yeah, it's never brought up again. So in other words, he was basically talking out of his ass. Anyway, apparently Detective Shinjo and his sister can teleport because we just saw them in the hospital and now all of a sudden they've brought the Mothra fairies to the government because they have a plan. The Mothra twins will call Mothra to go and speak to Godzilla and Rodan and try and convince them to fight King Ghidorah and drive him off. And in a case of Speak of the Devil and he will show, King Ghidorah comes to Parliament to add to the debate by destroying most of the city with his electrical beams. And just flying over everything, even destroying Tokyo Tower, which must be about the 5th time this has happened in a kaiju movie. So the government begged the fairies to call Mothra, and they do so, singing to Mothra, so this is kind of like a second musical number we get. Also, I will say, Mothra looks a bit annoyed when the two fairies call upon her. Like, I just kind of find it funny that she's like, yeah, you go away for a few days and look what happens. Meanwhile, Rodan and Godzilla are busy fighting. And well, it's fun and all to watch these two have a fight, and I love monster fighting, but I have a problem with these monster suits. It's just the eyes. They're just too big. It makes Godzilla and Rodan look really stupid. I mean, look at the face that Godzilla pulls when Rodan pecks him. Does that look like the face of a monster that has destroyed countless people and is classified as the king of the monsters? No, he looks more like the Cookie Monster has been out of a fire. Back with the princess, she's been knocked out by the doctor who has given her some kind of hypnotic drug that they say will bring out the real woman inside, and not this Martian. However, when the doctor asks some questions, we get the usual spiel that she's a Martian and stuff. We do find out that she is kind of technically a Martian because her ancestors were from Mars and they had the ability to see into the future, and well, then King Ghidorah attacked their planet and destroyed it all, so they had to basically flee to Earth. Being the fact they can see into the future, how the hell did they not see King Ghidorah coming? But anyway, yeah, their ancestors that were Martians came to Earth and basically mated with some Earthlings, so that she's kind of basically a half Martian, half human sort of hybrid. So she does have the ability to see into the future. So after this exposition dump, the Doctor, who I should point out is a doctor, suggests this.
Well, I suppose we can try shock treatment.
Shock treatment?
You're a doctor! And after one test and drug fails, you basically give up and go, oh well, let's shock this bitch. Anyway, they get right into the shocking. However, the assassins show up to kill her. Don't worry, I think the doctor's going to do that anyway. But anyway, the assassins go to the electroshock controls and turn the power all the way up to 3,000 volts. Why does it go up that high? I don't know. The doctor and Shinjo are all ready to go and don't really double check the settings to make sure that, they're not going to be shocking her too high. That could, it's not up to something like 3,000 volts and could potentially kill her. They don't double check that. However, just as the doctor is about to flick the switch, Godzilla and Rodan save the day in a way by, as they fight, Rodan picks up Godzilla and drops him onto a power line, cutting off the power and saving the princess. However, as you can see where Godzilla lands, well, he kind of gets hit in that area, and well, I kind of have to steal the joke for this because I just couldn't help myself. So, with the plan failing, the assassins just go in to try and shoot her. However, Shinjo is quick to fight off the group. But with this and the monster madness that's basically happening outside, it's really time to leave, so they get into a car and run away. Anyway, Godzilla has recovered from that cheap shot and starts beating up Rodan. As the two continue to fight, Godzilla blowing his breath and Rodan biting Godzilla's tail, soon the fight turns into more of a game of volleyball when Mothra finally arrives to watch. Actually, she's here to talk, but first she needs to get their attention, and she does so by blasting the two with her web. And well, this is where the monsters stop being more terrifying monsters of death and destruction and become, well, more kid-friendly. Because when the two get blasted, they start to laugh at each other. Yeah, Godzilla and Rodan have a laugh. This is where Godzilla started to change, I think. In every movie before this, Godzilla was the clear villain. And in this movie, this is where Godzilla starts to become the good guy. And well, to some, this is where the Godzilla Showa series especially starts going to shit. Anyway, Mothra starts to chat to the two monsters and the two fairies translate. And this is where we get one of my favourite lines in any Godzilla movie.
Oh, Godzilla, what terrible language!
Oh god, I just love that line because it implies that Godzilla knows how to swear. And well, if Godzilla knows how to swear, it just makes me wonder how often he's been swearing in his movies. Anyway, Mothra keeps trying to convince the two to fight King Ghidorah and defend the Earth. But Godzilla and Rodan don't want to, saying that the humans hate them, which of course they do because, all they've done up to this point is destroy their cities and kill thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. But anyway, negotiations fail and Mothra goes off to fight King Ghidorah by herself. So it's a giant caterpillar versus a planet-destroying three-headed space dragon that shoots electricity. I think we know who's going to win this match. So soon Godzilla and Rodan change their mind and they join the battle. And this is the first ever battle between Godzilla and King Ghidorah. And boy is it some silly, stupid, goofy fun. I mean, Godzilla gets blasted a lot, even getting blasted in the balls again. It really hasn't been a good day for his dick. But yeah, this fight is not so much punching, more if anything, just the two monsters basically grappling and throwing rocks at each other. We do get some Rodan Ghidorah air combat, ending with them colliding into the air and crashing into the ground together, which is fun, but I think the main problem is the King Ghidorah suit itself, because there is a lot of strings and puppetry involved in basically holding this King Ghidorah suit up, operating the heads and the wings and even the tails. So they were worried about them getting all tangled up, so there's not really much they could have done in this first ever fight because they were just worried about damaging it. So with all this stuff happening, Rodan lets Mothra get on his back to fire a web from a high altitude and start webbing up Ghidorah's heads. However, I have to wonder why Ghidorah never uses his electrical beams throughout this entire scene when, you know, it would have been perfect for shooting down Rodan and Mothra. But it never happens. He basically just lets Mothra continue to web up his heads over and over again to the point where he can barely move them and they all get wrapped up. And I bet there's some fan art out there of this situation in the Kaiju Girls format, which I've seen has been going around. Don't look into my Google history. Anyway, Godzilla throws King Ghidorah off the cliff, and Ghidorah, feeling that this battle is lost, retreats back into space. And from every appearance in the Showa and Heisei series, he will be under the control of some alien force. Really shows the power of this planet-destroying monster. Oh, and while that was going on, the princess falls off the cliff and gets her memory back, and the assassin gets killed in the plotline that just sort of ends, as well as this movie. Yeah, it wasn't really interesting. What was more interesting was the monster combat. Anyway, as Mothra and the twins swim off, leaving Godzilla and Rodan in Japan unsupervised, completely free to do whatever they want. Seriously, what is stopping these two from just leveling Japan? Well, before you can think too much about that, our movie is finally over.
Goodbye! Goodbye, everybody!
And that was Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. All in all, it's a fun one, I would say. It's not one of the great Godzilla movies. I think it's more because of the script that some of the characters come off like idiots, and, well, I don't really like the designs of Rodan and Godzilla in this movie. They just come off looking like idiots. But apart from that, I always loved King Ghidorah. I think it's a very brilliant monster design, and the music cues and the build-up are very good. It's some of the best in the entire Godzilla franchise. And, well, when it actually starts getting going, it's a bit of a slow start, but when this movie starts getting going, it really starts getting good. It's not one of the best, I would say. It's just in the top 20, I would say. And so really, it's a good hour burn movie. If you just want some good fun for an hour, just watch this movie. And it's going to be interesting to see how this movie is basically remade in 2019 by Legendary. It's going to be fun to see that. And anyway, with that done, let's head back to the wheel, and I will see you guys next time when I review Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. I'll see you then. What's this? I'm appearing at the end of the video when the credits are rolling? Well, that's because I just wanted to talk a bit more. So, what did you think about Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster? Tell me what you think in the comments below, and of course, if you want more Godzilla reviews, don't forget to subscribe. Also, I want to give a shout out to the guy who does the title art. His name is Chillator. He does commissions at starting about $10, I think, for commissions, and his link will be in the description below. If you want your work done, just, you know, he does all sorts of stuff. I would give him a look. He's a very good, talented artist, and give him some love, give him some donations and stuff like that. Anyway, so are you looking forward to the next review, Godzilla vs. Megaguirus? And I think the credits are ending by now, but yeah, tell me what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm Alexthehunted, and I clearly didn't do this with a script, so I will see you guys next time. Goodbye! Hopefully the credits should have ended by now.